Good morning, everyone. It's Sal, Stretford Post. How you all doing? And welcome to another episode of Breaking Dawn. I hope you're all doing good. I hope you're all doing fine on this Thursday morning, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Please, guys, before I start, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to smash a like on the video. Don't forget to put your notifications on. All that lovely stuff, of course, guys. Now, let's get into it. Before we get into any of the Ruben Amorim stuff, I wanted to get the transfer news out the way. As we know that Manchester United are searching around the world for the next big thing. They're looking at all these young players. Lots of young players have been linked with Man United over the last few months. And Manchester United have been in action again in regards to young players off the conveyor belt. And one of those young players is a gentleman. I'm going to get his name right. It's called Vasilije Novicic. Now, Vasilije, I don't know how you pronounce this. He is a Serbian guy. He currently plays for IMT Belgrade in Serbia. He's a CDM, free catch for the Serbia under-19s. He's worth around €2 million, guys. Now, Mr. Novicic, that's how I'm going to say it, Novicic, is a CDM, and Manchester United have been scouting this player for around a few weeks now, and the word is they're very impressed with this guy. Another CDM that Manchester United are looking at and quite interested in, of course. So, look, I'm all for this. I'm all for this. As you know, I'm Man United youth coverage success. I know all that. But one thing I would say is that I really would like Man United to start looking at for some players, that are going to change Man United in the immediate future. All the links and the rumours about certain players are a little bit disheartening because I would have loved us to do it in the summer. I would have loved us to bring in more players in the summer. And looking at Man United in the moment, and you're looking at the likes of Kone, of course. You're looking at other players that are coming to the team, Chido Obi Martin, of course. They're not getting really much opportunities. And I just want Man United to look at what's going to be important for now, right now, because right now is where we're in a little bit of a bother. We're a bit of a pickle at the moment, ain't we? I mean, who would have knew? So I would say that, yeah, I love the fact that we're looking at the young players. I love the fact that we're exploring Europe and around the world and looking for the next big thing. I've mentioned a few players. I mentioned a few yesterday in regards to Molina, of course, and Mora, another one I've mentioned over the last couple of weeks. I mean, I must have mentioned about 20, 30 players that Man United are scouting. Now, look, I did say that Man United's scouting list is around 100 players. There's around 100 players there in Man United, on Man United's scouting list. Now, Mr. Novicic, 2 million under-19s free caps for Serbia. Yeah, great. Bring him in. If he's the next player coming off the conveyor belt, if he's the next generational player, so to speak, in the future, bring him in. But it doesn't mean that we can't bring in more experienced players as well and start looking at players that are, actually making a noise right now. Because, the noises around Man United are not very positive, guys. I'll be honest with you guys. It's actually nauseating. I don't even know if that's the right word. It's actually frustrating, annoying, morale deteriorating kind of thing. I don't even know what words to put on it. It's just so... I've got so many things to say about it. It's just unbelievable. Now, another player on Man United's wish list is a man named Dan Sinate. He's a 19-year-old Malian who currently plays for Angers. Definitely, we're angry at the moment. Angers in France. He is a 19-year-old and he plays as a left-back, centre-back. So he could play in that left-sided centre-back. This player has got 3 caps for the Mali under-23 side. So, look, you know what? I don't know how much you put into that, how much weight you put into that. But Dan Sinate is capturing the interest of Manchester United amongst other teams, guys. And another player off the conveyor belt, another player exclusively revealed on Stretford Post, guys. So when we do end up signing these players, you're gonna be like, oh, didn't I hear that on Stretford Post? I did hear that on Stretford Post, didn't it? Dan Sinate and Novicic, Vasilije Novicic, by the way, that's how you say it. Those are a couple of players that are out there on Man United's scouting list. So it is a scouting report, to be honest with you, because I do like to give a scouting report. I do like to give you the ins and outs of what's going on at Man United in regards to the scouting side of things, because I don't want to come on here and be straight doom and gloom early in the morning, guys. I've got my coffee here. I take it easy. And you know what? There's a lot of negatives going around Man United. And you know what? I sometimes it's just better off to switch off social media sometimes. And I have done that. I'm just keeping a low profile at the moment, to be honest with you. I think the biggest damning thing for me is that there is, as I said over the last couple of weeks, there's two sides, right? There's an in and then there's an out. And there's nothing in between. And I think that is very damning for me, because if we are going to progress as a football team, we have to understand the ins and outs of what the problems really are, truly are at Manchester United. And Ruben Amorim in, Ruben Amorim out is a big problem, because not to say that Ruben Amorim doesn't deserve to be sacked. Looking at the results speak for themselves. And of course, he's not doing well. And we're not delusional in regards to that. And he's making mistakes. We're not delusional in regards to that. But what I would love is for someone to come to me and enlighten me and use, riddle my brain a little bit in regards to not just the manager, but in regards to the ownership, in regards to the players, in regards to certain sections of the fan base. Now, people tend not to like me in some quarters because I say it as it is. For example, if someone turned around to me and said, you know what, football's better now than it used to be, I would argue that point and I would give them facts with players who played in the 90s as opposed to now. For example, right? And people don't like knowledge. People don't like knowledge. People hate knowledge. People hate the fact that they have to twiddle their brains a little bit. Now, I had a gentleman on here yesterday talking about, you know what, with a 4-3-3, with a 4-2-3-1, you know what, we won more trophies. We got to more finals. Now, number one, Ruben Amorim has only been at the football club 8 months, so you really can't, and he's already been to one final. So, look, you can't really argue that point. Number two, what people don't understand is that when you're trying to change a culture at a football club, it's not ABC. It's much more difficult and much more hard to explain to people who don't want to listen and have a certain narrative. Now, changing a whole culture at a football club requires patience. Manchester United are a counter-attacking team, and we don't enter games now on the front foot. Why is that? Because culturally, over the last 5 to 10 years, we have been a counter-attacking team. On various managers that have managed Manchester United over the last few years, we have been deemed a counter-attacking team. Now, to change this culture, to make Man United into a front foot team, into a team that pushes forward and presses the game and takes the game to the opposition, that's going to take time. It's not only going to take time, it's going to take INEOS to back Ruben Amorim. Now, as I said many times over the summer, the biggest thing in regards to Ruben Amorim's system, one of the biggest things in regards to Ruben Amorim's system is the wing-backs. And he relies heavily on very attack-minded wing-backs who can create. We don't have those wing-backs. I mean, obviously, people were talking about Van der Sar. Van der Sar's obviously on Man United's wish list. We didn't sign Van der Sar in the summer. And perhaps we should have signed Van der Sar in the summer because we did envision that we would have problems on that wing-back position. And lo and behold, we got these problems. The mark of intelligence, right, is a person who can call out issues with the manager, fair enough, but can also call out issues of surrounding things around why the manager is doing badly and bring into context everything that is happening at the football club, which contributes to the manager doing badly. Now, we could sack the manager, fine. I have no affiliation with Ruben Amorim. I'm a Manchester United fan, number one, right? But if we still have these problems at the football club, my ultimate concern is this. My ultimate concern is that we're going to have the same problems when the new manager comes in. Now, I know that when the new manager comes in, we most likely will have a new manager bounce. Fantastic, great, brilliant, superb. We're going to have a new manager bounce. But I urge people to understand this, right? Because it's exactly what happened with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We will have a new manager bounce. We will break records, whatever you want to do. When the time will come, those players were down too. It's not sustainable. It is not sustainable. It's not going to give you long-term success. It's not. So what Manchester United need to concentrate on is, number one, solidifying a formation, solidifying the ability not to be beaten so easily, not to concede goals so easily. This is what Man United need to do at the moment. And we're not doing that. We're just a little bit mismatched in regards to what we're doing. There's no real direct plan. I know that Ruben Amorim is trying, but the players that we're seeing in the team is not bringing us forward. And that's where I criticize Ruben Amorim. And that's where I don't have an extreme opinion, that I can call out Ruben Amorim and I can call out the mistakes that he's made. Those people are so firmly Amorim out, they can't call out what Amorim's good at. I can give you what he's good at. I can give you what he's bad at. And now I'm going to give you what he's bad at. What he's bad at right now is team selection. Playing players out of position, not playing players in the correct position, stubbornness, favoritism. That is Ruben Amorim's problem. I would love to come on here and defend Ruben Amorim. I would love to come on here and defend him with all my might, but I can't defend that because the players that have been at this football club are known as serial losers. Serial losers. They're losers. And I can't defend a manager that continues to play these players. And that is my criticism of Ruben Amorim. It's not about the system. Don't mind. It's not about any of that. People can throw out all the systems you like. Doesn't matter. The most important thing is, no matter if you play a 4-3-3, a 4-2-3-1, a 4-5-1, no matter what you play, if you have players in that system that don't play, that don't work, if the players are shoehorned in certain positions, it's not going to work. Whether you're 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, 4-5-1, whatever you want, 4-4-2, it's not going to work. So your duty is to pick players in the correct position that gives the system and you more chance of succeeding in the future. And one of those things is look into the future. Stop looking in the past. Look to the future. Look at the team and look at the players that have been there for many years and ask yourself this question. What have they done? How many managers have they thrown under the bus? You know, I understand it. And I bring this to you. I understand a certain thing in regards to why Ruben Amorim, and I had this theory yesterday, why Ruben Amorim picks Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw, Dalot and Bruno. The reason he picks those players is because they have come second in the league before. You know, they have won things before. And this is where safety rather than boldness and courage, come into play. Lack of courage, lack of boldness. It's more safety first. We have come second with these players. We have won trophies with these players. Not big trophies, FA Cup, we would argue it's a big trophy, but we have done that. But we need to look at things from the perspective of that it's not sustainable. You know, we can't just go out there and aim for the FA Cup and the League Cup for the rest of our history. Man United need to be challenging for league titles. So how would we challenge for league titles? How are we going to challenge for league titles? It's putting the foundations in place now. You need to put the foundations in place before you do anything. You need to plant that seed that gives us an opportunity in the future to be successful as a football club. You know? Now, there are people who come on here, bozos, who just come on here and just throw at me 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3, and they think that, you know what, everything's going to be absolutely magnificent again. If we have all of a sudden have this new manager in and we're going to have a new formation and everything's going to just go magically, papaf. It's going to be amazing. You know, it's just ignorance. It's naivety. It's a lack of knowledge in regards to what is going on at this football club, the cultural issues at this football club, the down tooling, the problems behind the scenes that we don't even know of. And these are the problems that we have to address. If we're going to progress, we need to change our mentality. We need to stop thinking about quick fixes. We need to start thinking about how are we going to succeed in the long term? How are we going to create a culture at this football club that dominates games? Not flukes and FA Cup, which we did, guys. Let's be real. We were a toenail away from being knocked out against Coventry City. All right? So let's talk. We need to find a way to dominate games, to get back to Manchester United. So every time we walk out of that football ground, at that tunnel, we're confident they're going to have a game today. We're going to go on the front foot straight away. We're going to attack this team and we're going to beat this team. We're going to stranglehold this team until they give up. And that's what we used to do. I'm not seeing that at the moment, you know, and there's a few things that I would criticize Ruben Amorim with, as I said, the formation, but I will also say the lack of courage when the game is going away from you. Alex Ferguson sometimes would leave two at the back and he would just go complete gun-ho and play 4 up front. That's what Alex Ferguson used to do when you're losing the game, because there's no point in self-perseverance. There's no points in playing wing-backs and things like that. Sometimes you have to throw the system out the window. And when you're losing a game, you have to be brave. And you have to go for the game, you know, and you have to fight for the game and say, listen, we got to salvage something. Sir Alex Ferguson said it really well. Sir Alex Ferguson said, always get something for the game. Always try and get something from the game. And he also said that when you're losing 1-0, what's the point of sitting back? What's the point of having a system and a tactic? What's the point? Sometimes football can be simplistic. Sometimes when you put pressure on the opposition, it creates chaos in the opposition's defense line, which is why Man United scored so many late goals, because we took a risk. We were barraging the teams with balls into the box and again and again and again, and they would give in and they would quit, you know, and they were scared. You need to add that element of fear in the opposition. You need to give that element of fear. At the moment, we're too nice. At the moment, we're too tactical. At the moment, we're overcomplicating things, in my opinion, guys. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to the stream, everyone. I hope you're all doing blessed. Guys, hope you're good. Good to see everyone in the house, of course. Big up Ephraim. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. So good morning, Sal. Amorim need to stop favoritism choose based on performance. Big up, Garrett. How you doing, my friend? Good morning, Sal, bro. Big up, my friend. How you doing, Garrett? Good to see you, brother. Good to see you again. I think we must give Amorim a chance at the end of the season. He's a good coach. Look what he's done at Sporting over the time. Look, at the end of the day, Garrett, you know, as I said there, as I'm explaining there, Ruben Amorim needs to change a few things if he's going to get until the end of the season. I agree with you, mate. But if he's carry on playing the same players in the same positions, I can't really defend it. I can't defend it because we all know that Bruno doesn't work in the midfield. We all know that Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire, Dalot should not be playing for this football club anymore. You know, and that is it. And it's not like we don't have players there. We do have younger players there who can come in and add pace. You don't play a high line with Maguire and Luke Shaw, right, as your centre backs. You don't do that. And that is where we get into the argument of that is what Ruben Amorim's doing wrong. If Ruben Amorim can rectify this, if he can change this and he can be a little bit more brave and he can play a few more youngsters and get the team a bit more athletic, a bit more pace-worthy, then I would start believing that he could last until the end of the season. I want to see that team on Saturday, and I don't want to be like I've been over the last few weeks. And I don't like being like that. I don't like arguing about the team lineup and that. That's not what I do. But when I see the lineup and I see it and I look at it and I'm like, oh, for goodness sake, you know, I want to see changes on Saturday. I really do. And I hope it is. Big up, Garrett. It's good to see you, brother. Hope you're well. Ephraim, Sal, INEOS are also the biggest problem, the decision making. And this is what I would bring into the show in regards to INEOS are the problem. INEOS are the problem, number one, because they did not back Ruben Amorim. They did not back Ruben Amorim. And I can argue that till the cows come home. 200 million fixing the attack is not fixing the problem at Man United. That was just touching, that ain't even touching the surface of what the issues are at Manchester United. We needed far more than just a few strikers and attackers at the football club. We needed the midfield, wing backs, and probably a goalkeeper. We got Sendy Lamens, but obviously Amorim's a bit scared to use him. They fouled him. And they are to blame 100%, because if they did not want to back Ruben Amorim's philosophy, if they did not want to back a Ruben Amorim with his unique style of play, why did they bring Ruben Amorim into the football club then? You know, this is my argument. They made that mistake. They are to blame 100%. I'm not even saying 90, 80%. They brought him in. They didn't back him. What's the point of bringing in your guy if you're not going to back him to the extent? No, I'm not saying that Ruben Amorim shouldn't be doing better. Of course he should be doing better. But you need to look at what's at the top, because ultimately what has happened here is that he's been set up to fail. He's been set up to foul here. He's been set up to lose. You know, and I said that at the beginning of the season. I actually said that beginning of the season, before the season started, I said that Ruben Amorim, if he's not backed, Ruben Amorim should walk from this football club. He should walk. That's what he should do. And here we are. Ellen, good morning. I'd be listening to driving this morning. Remember, we are only 2 penalties away from being in the Champions League spot table. 2 missed penalties. Guys, Amorim needs more time. You're very intelligent, Ellen. You are. And I like that. I really do. However, we would be high up the table if we didn't play Bruno in that middle. And we know that's a big problem because that's been a big stumbling block. Bruno has been our worst player this season. He's been giving away balls. He's been giving away goals. He's just not a midfielder. Now, you're absolutely right, Ellen. Football's decided on fine margins, and you have to bring into context what everything is, truly what football is. It's context, isn't it? Fine margins. Man United won a treble in fine margins, guys. Yeah, fine margins. If the ball goes that way, we're not winning a treble, rather than going that way. Do you know what I mean? And that is what football is at the end of the day. But we can also argue that if we didn't get the penalty against Burnley, we'd be further down the league. We can also bring that into it. What Ruben Amorim has to do is that he has to find a way, if he wants to play Bruno, of fitting Bruno into that lineup. Bruno playing in that number 8 position doesn't work. Mason Mount, and I know you love Mason Mount. Mason Mount is not good enough to play for Manchester United. He's basically a stable player, just a stable player. He won't get you over the line. You won't score goals, as proven. And I've been saying it for a long time. Man United need to be bold, brave. Fortune favors the brave. The old saying, fortune favors the brave. And in this situation, fortune does favor the brave because you have to be brave in football. You have to take risks in football. And I don't think Ruben Amorim does that. This is why he put Mason Mount as a left back against Brentford when he was trying to chase the game. And I would say that, yes, if we drew against Arsenal, we smacked in the penalty against Fulham. We smacked in the penalty against Brentford, and Brentford went down to 10 men. They should have done. And then Man United will be in a completely different situation right now. And we'll be singing from a different hymn sheet, wouldn't we? We'd all be saying, oh, yeah, absolutely, we're doing great. But it's not how football works, unfortunately, We have been talking about luck for a long time now, and we have been unlucky in various games. I absolutely understand that. But unfortunately, you have to make your own luck sometimes. And I've always said this about football. You have to make your own luck sometimes. You have to play a system and a tactical a game plan that contributes towards you winning a game, not preserving, not trying to draw, or not trying not to lose, if you know what I mean. And a lot of Ruben Amorim's selections are based on safety. And I don't like the safety thing. I think you need to take the shackles off a little bit, in my opinion. Tactical errors and this and that. We're under no illusions, guys, right? You have to look at the reality of what everything is. And I will give you the example, Brentford. Let's not lie to ourselves, guys. Brentford should have won 5-1. Let's not lie to ourselves, guys. Man City should have won 5-0. Let's not lie to ourselves. Let's not kid ourselves here, guys. The performance against Brentford, the performance against Manchester City is who we are. That's who we are. We're capable of beating Chelsea, even though Chelsea went down to 10 men. And we can argue that point as well. What if Chelsea didn't go down to 10 men? You know what I mean? What would happen then? Would we have won the game? It's hindsight, isn't it? But we need to look at the game against Man City, and we need to look at the game against Brentford in particular, because those two games right there, we were dominated. We were annihilated. We lost easily. We got thumped. And we have to be honest. We need to stop looking at small margins and look at the big picture of who we are. And why did that happen? We all know why it happened, because Ruben Amorim picked the wrong system, the wrong lineup, I should say, not the system. Excuse me, and the wrong lineup, picking the players in the wrong positions, being scared to drop certain players because you fear a backlash. These kind of things that I'm talking about. That I know as well as you know that if Ruben Amorim picked Lenny Yoro, Aiden Heaven, Mainu in the midfield, Man United wouldn't have lost to Brentford. Nah. I'm nearly 100% sure they would not have lost to Brentford. Sending Lamens in goal. They wouldn't have lost to Brentford. And that is where we have to critique. It's not, I'm get him out of my football club, get the fraud out of my football club, blah, blah, blah. It's not nothing to do with that, because that is for the dum-dums. That's for the dum-dums, right? And I see him every single day. All they go on about is Ruben Amorim this, Ruben Amorim that. I will call things as they are. I will call the bad doings. I will call the good doings. I will bring into context everything, and I will speak about things fairly and calmly. You know what I mean? I would say, you know. Big up, Ellen. Big up, Garrett. What's going on, my friend? They need to get rid of Shaw, Harry, Dalot, and Bruno. First of all, Garrett, absolutely. First of all, what they need to do is stop playing them. You know, they need to stop playing. Ruben Amorim needs to stop playing in those players. And that's exactly what, before we get rid of them, we need to stop playing the number one. Now, a lot of people were saying to me, oh, Harry Maguire is a great pro. He's this, he's that. No doubt, Harry Maguire is a great pro. He's a great person. However, he's not a great footballer. And that's what I would say. Gareth Southgate loved Harry Maguire, right? And he ended up dropping Harry Maguire. Gareth Southgate loved Mason Mount, and he ended up dropping Mason Mount. You know what I mean? You see what I mean here? So if Gareth Southgate is one of the poorest managers I can remember, right? With a great pool of players, by the way. That's why he got to finals. Why are we still playing Mason Mount? As Manchester United are supposed to be better than England, right? Why? They're not anymore, I know. But why are we playing Mason Mount and Harry Maguire, or relying on these players and Luke Shaw, if they're not getting in the England team? You know, these players, we need to call it as it is, and we need to call it like these players are finished. And I would tell Ruben Amorim, if I sat in a room with Ruben Amorim and I spoke to Ruben Amorim, I would say, Ruben, mate, these players have had their day. They've had their time. That's it. No more. Drop them. I guarantee you results will come. Now, the biggest problem that Ruben Amorim has is that he's got a rolling contract now, in my opinion. So what does that mean? He basically got a game-by-game basis. I believe that if he loses the next game, it's going to be done. He needs to go on a little bit of a run before he loses the next game. So, you know, now you're looking at things, and you're looking at Sunderland on Saturday, or Sunderland are no mugs. They're quite a good team. They've done very well this season. And then you've got Liverpool. If Ruben Amorim manages to miraculously win those two games, right? And I shouldn't say miraculously, but it does feel that way at the moment, unfortunately. If he manages to win those two games, he's going to buy himself to December, right? If he wins those two games. He's left himself in a position where he's got no room to maneuver now. People are just going to not to be defending him anymore. People are going to be giving up on him. People are going to be, you know, that's it. I can't take this anymore. And that's going to resonate, obviously, to the owners. As much as the owners, you know, you're saying that they're backing him, the dreaded vote of confidence. I think he's actually in the next month, right? If he loses one game, I think that's it. I really do. I think he needs to go on a winning run. I think that this has resonated down to the ownership and stuff like that. I think now they know and you know that he needs to start winning games. He's left himself in that position. And as much as we feel that he deserves more time, of course he does. He deserves more players. He deserves more time. Unfortunately, football doesn't work that way. It doesn't. As fair as it is, as unfair as it is, some may argue Erik ten Hag needed more time. I think he deserves more time. I think 8 months is no time. I think that. But we also have to start acting like Manchester United. And you know, there is a line there that you can't cross. And I will back everyone I will back Ruben Amorim to the cows come home. I will do that every single time. I've always done that with all the managers, right? I will back Ruben because I know that there's more problems at this football club, far more problems at this football club that people are not touching on. People are not mentioning the Glazers, the INEOS and that. Hasn't it gone a little bit stale in regards to the Glazers? No one's talking about the Glazers, isn't it? You know, so much for protest and stuff like that. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. There is a context in everything. And I know that if Oliver Glasner comes in, I know that if Xavi comes in, Areola comes in, I know that the nucleus of the team is a problem. Oliver Glasner plays a 4-4. His favorite formation, by the way, is 4-4-2. It's not 3-4-2-1. It's a 4-4-2. He plays teams based on the players he has. Now, no matter what team goes out, no matter what formation is put before us, you're not going to do nothing with Luke Shaw, Dalot, Maguire, Bruno. You're not going to do anything with these players. These players, Mason Mount, these players are not going to get you to the promised land, not going to get you a level that you feel like you should be, you know? Ellen, I just hope they have the balls to back him in this difficult time. I hope so as well, Ellen. However, we have to look at things on a results basis. Football is a results business. And if he doesn't beat Sunderland, I'm sorry he has to go. Because Sunderland are beatable, a very beatable team, much more of a value. We're much more valuable than Sunderland. We have more better players than Sunderland. We should beat Sunderland. I know that Sunderland are playing well, but we need to beat Sunderland, you know. And if he doesn't beat Sunderland, then where do we go from here? Relegation. We need to look at things seriously, you know. But not only him, a lot of those players need to go as well. If those players are incapable, and they've already proven that they're incapable of beating Grimsby, and that had nothing to do with system or tactics. That was to do with players, by the way. Onana made those 2 mistakes, of course. And those players on the pitch were incapable of scoring against Grimsby. 4 or 5 they should have scored, really, in reality. So I would love a lot of those players to be out the door as well. I want people to remember this, because no matter what manager comes into this football club right now, if they're faced with the same players that have serially sacked managers over the last 10 years or so, we're not going to get anywhere. Yeah, we might have a new bounce. We might have a new manager bounce. It might be all gravy. Everything's all good. But we're not going to get anywhere with these players. It's easier for me to count the players that need to go than need to stay. There's only a few that stay. And I counted six or 7 players I would keep. The rest of them gone, and that's the whole squad, by the way. And that's what I'm talking about, you know. Saviour, INEOS are to blame because they didn't sign the players Amorim wanted. The coach wanted experienced goalkeeper, good midfielder, so INEOS are to blame for this. Lemens is good enough, I would say, Saviour, and that is down to Ruben Amorim for not playing Senny Lemens. And I would always argue that point. I've been watching Senny Lemens for 1 year, and I think he's good enough. And I think, as much as I agree with the rest of your points, the Senny Lemens under the bus thing, no. Senny Lemens should be playing in that football team. And I will say it right now because he's a better goalkeeper than Bayindir. And we wouldn't have lost to Brentford if we had Senny Lemens in goal. Let me tell you that right now, right? Sometimes you have to be brave. Alex Ferguson was brave in bringing in David De Gea, who was 20 when we signed him. Lemens is 23. He should be playing. In regards to in regards to INEOS, I agree 100% with you, Saviour. 100%. They didn't back him. They got a manager in there with a distinctive style of play, and they didn't feed into that distinctive style of play. They didn't back him with the players that he needs to play that style of play. Now, a lot of people say, well, he should change the system based on these things. Well, didn't we have this under Erik ten Hag? When Erik ten Hag said, I can't play the Ajax way because we can't play that way. We don't have the players to play that way. Didn't he say something like that? And then all the fan base jumped on Erik ten Hag and said, oh my goodness me, he's not playing the Ajax way because he said he can't play the Ajax way. Why is he doing that? You remember that? Now we got a manager who's playing his way and he's doing the complete opposite of what Erik ten Hag did. He's sticking by his philosophy. It's a problem as well. Can't win. You can't win. Ultimately, if I was to simplify everything around and just shut out the noise, the only remedy for this is winning football matches. That is the only remedy. No matter how you win, no matter if you win 1-0 off the backside in the last minute, no matter how you win, you've got to win football matches. Ultimately, that is what football's about. Absolutely. Ephraim. Sal, that midfield is the biggest problem. Whatever the manager is Bruno midfield, it'd be a problem. Absolutely. And Bruno's going to be forced to play again because obviously he's on a lot of money and, he's worth a lot of money. He's an asset at the end of the day, isn't he? He's an asset to INEOS and to Manchester United. So obviously they're not going to drop him. So basically we've left ourselves in a conundrum where we've done it ourselves, by the way. We should have sold Bruno in the summer. We've done it to ourselves. We've left ourselves in a situation where we signed 2 number 10s and we already had Bruno, Xerxes, Mason Mount. You know what I mean? And we really didn't need 2 number 10s. However, I like Cunha and I like Mbeumo. I think they're fantastic players and they're going to be a blessing this season, believe me. I actually think Cunha's captain material, right? Bruno is a big issue, massive issue in this football club, massive. Because when you're looking at football, right? Let me give you an example. during the Alex Ferguson days, we had obviously Brian Robson, Roy Keane, Paul Scholes, Paul Ince, Brian Robson. Whatever you had there, you had a strong midfield, right? Now imagine this. Just imagine this. We had Ugarte, and we had, let's say, how would I pull it? Lindelof in the midfield. It's not going to work, is it? Let's say, all right, let me give you another theory. Let's say we had Roy Keane in the midfield right now, right? And Lindelof. Right? And Lindelof. It's not going to work, is it? It's not going to work. No matter how good that midfield player is in Roy Keane or Patrick Vieira or whoever it is, if you got someone like Lindelof next to him, he's going to struggle. I actually feel Roy Keane would struggle with Bruno by his side. I actually feel that way, you know? Morning, Benny. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Of course. Big ups, Jamie. How you doing, my friend? Good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. Good morning, Sound Company. Big up, Darren. Hope you're good. Good to see you back, my friend. Metal, good morning. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're well. Do you think we'll defeat Sunderland? Metal, yes. Yes. I think we'll beat Sunderland. I do think we'll beat Sunderland. And not only beat Sunderland, I think we'll smack them up. I think we'll win easily. I actually got a feeling, Metal, that Ruben Amorim will change the team lineup. I think he'll change the team lineup, and it'll be for the better. I really do think that. I think we should beat Sunderland, and I don't think there's any way back if he doesn't beat Sunderland. If we're not going to beat Sunderland, Metal, who are we going to beat? You know, we have to be honest for ourselves, because we got Liverpool coming up after Sunderland, and obviously Brighton, West Ham, Tottenham, and all those teams in between, which notoriously we haven't beaten in recent years. So he's got to start getting wins. And no matter how we do it, we have to beat Sunderland. We have to make sure that that game is won, you know. And I think we will do it on Saturday, Metal. I think we do it. I think we'll win the game. I think it will be... I've got my match preview later on, guys. Got my match preview. Hopefully you can join me for that. And yeah, I'm going to give my predictions and my lineups and everything like that. Good morning, Marky Mark, you legend. What's going on, brother? I hope you're doing well. Morning, Sal, the community. How are you, my friend? Very well, my friend. All I have to say is INEOS did not back Amorim. Yes, the lineups have been questionable, but didn't back him with the players he needed. Absolutely, Marky Mark. And this is where we get to context, isn't it? And this is where we get to intelligent debate. Not, he should play this, he should do this, he should do this. Maybe, just maybe, and this is another flip of the argument, if they backed him with a 7, 8 out of 10 window, maybe he wouldn't have to play Maguire, Luke Shaw, Bruno Fernandes, Dalot. Maybe, just maybe, he wouldn't have to play those players. Do you know what I mean? That's just a theory. That's just a theory going out there. Maybe it's a conspiracy, but that is a theory that I'm saying out there. Maybe he wouldn't have to play those players. You know what I mean? Absolutely, Marky Mark. Great comment, Marky Mark. Hope you're doing well. Really good to see you, and hope you're having a fabulous Thursday, my friend. Randall, good morning. Hope you're well. Big up. Darren, did you have a look at the youth at the top level in last night's game? PSG and Barcelona got sick youngsters. Darren, why have Barcelona got sick youngsters? Why do you think that is? Why? Because they have a style of play from the youth team all the way going up. Man United used to have that. Man United used to have a philosophy which went down from the bottom and, you know, all the way to the top. Now, Man United Barcelona have had a philosophy, La Masia, for many, many years, decades and decades. It dates back to Johan Cruyff and people like that they've had the same way of playing for a long time. So every single player that comes through Barcelona's academy is always going to be this skillful flair player, you know, Johan Cruyff kind of thing, you know what I mean? And Man United don't have that. If Man United believe in a way of playing, Man United need to have that way of playing right from the bottom all the way from the top, from the youth right to the top. And so when it comes to bringing players in, it's like a jigsaw puzzle. It's just the same jigsaw puzzle, the same puzzle on the pitch, but the same piece of jigsaw that fits right into that team, you know? Man United have got different pieces of the jigsaw all muddled up. They got it all muddled up. It's all over the place. And what Man United need to do, they need to focus on creating a style, a culture at Man United, which I've been banging on for so long in regards to the way we play, how we're going to play. So how are the youth team going to be integrated into the team? Now, it also counts on courage. We're not showing youth courage success at the moment. We're showing fear. We're showing a lack of belief in youth players. And as Alex Ferguson said many, many times, Alex Ferguson said, youth players will seldom let you down. They won't let you down. You give them their opportunity, they'll give you 100% most of the time, because you're the one who put them on that pedestal. You're the one who gave them that opportunity. And I agree with this. I don't think you should ever be fearful in playing youth players and young players if they're good enough. You know, people look at the friendlies. Oh, it's just friendly, Sal. You shouldn't really look into friendlies. But I'm looking at the friendlies. I'm looking at the likes of Mantato. I'm looking at some of the Kulungi. I'm looking at these players who played for Man United in the friendly games. And why are those players not featuring this season? You know, why are they not featuring? I know we all heard of JJ Gabriel. He's doing fantastically well, and he should be integrated into the squad in a year or so. Obviously, he's too young at the moment. But why are we not focusing on the likes of Musa, on the likes of Mantato? Now, why are we not focusing on these young players? Why are we not bringing them through? At least having them on the bench so they can be like a conveyor belt, you know, on the next one. You need to have a plan, and that plan goes all the way back to the youth, to the under 10s, the under 12s, the under 16s, the under 21s, under 19s. It goes back, guys, all the way back, so that when you're playing that system, you play that system from a very young age, So when you get into the team, it's a natural thing. Now, if Man United were playing a 3-4-2-1 all the way down to the 10-year-olds, right? If they're playing that all the way down to there, and they were being raised with this system, you know as well as I do, Man United will produce more players that fit a system, the wing backs and stuff like that, and they'll be bringing in players like we used to, like Barcelona do. You know, when Man United was successful, Man United played a simple 4-4-2, and that was the norm. So it's very easy to integrate certain players into the system because they played 4-4-2 their whole life. That works with a 3-4-2-1. That works with a 4-2-3-1. That works with a 4-3-3. The same thing. They're going to be more used to playing that system. And this is what goes on at Barcelona. This is why when Barcelona players move into that team, and you're talking about players who didn't really make it as well, like the likes of Bohan, you know, who came at Barcelona. But when he came to Barcelona, when he played in that team, he looked like an absolute well-beater because he's already used to playing that system, you know? Absolutely. Big up, Darren. Saviour, good morning, sir. INEOS are to blame. Amorim asked for experienced goalkeeper. Good, I think I read that one. Big up, Saviour. Benny, we are looking at a boy called Owen Elaine, as his Arsenal plays for the local club Sligo Rovers in Ireland. I know them very well. In Ireland, has 19. Sligo Rovers sold Coleman for Everton for 60 grand. Sligo Rovers is a very famous club. They've been in Europe a few times. I think Man United played them wasn't it in the 80s or something like that in Europe? Am I wrong? Yeah, I think Man United played them a couple of times. But yeah, another club that, you know, produced good young players in Ireland, of course. And my biggest argument would be, and look, guys, I'm swaying a bit, but what I would say in regards to some of these players, like, why are we not looking at Ireland? When was the last Irish player to play for Man United? Right? When was the last Irish? So Man United have a heritage in regards to Ireland, Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. Man United have a heritage here, right, in regards to playing Irish players. And we haven't done that for many, many years, have we? Dennis Irwin, Roy Keane, for example, you know, big linchpins, big part of our success, of course. You know, we haven't done that in many, many years. And why are Man United not looking at the likes of Owen Elaine and players of that ilk? Why are we not doing that anymore? What have we forgotten about our influence in Ireland? You know, the players that have come from Ireland? I don't know. Maybe we have. I mean, if I'm thinking about the last Irish player to play for Man United, when was the last Irish player to play for Man United? I know that Gibson. You know, Johnny Evans was Northern Irish, but let's talk about the Republic of Ireland. Gibson was probably the last one, in my opinion. Yeah, big up, Benny. Sesko Lover, good morning. Hope you're doing. Who signed Van Persie? That guy knew who to sign to help us win immediately. Why can't we do the same now? Sign the likes of Gui, Anderson, and Mendes, etc. Alex Ferguson signed Robin Van Persie, my guy. And he was like the missing piece of the jigsaw. Exactly. It got Man United from like losing the league by a goal difference to winning the league by 10 points. That is what happened buying a player like that. And I absolutely agree. Sesko's good enough. Sesko Lover, coincidentally. I think he will be good enough, but he does need competition. I've always said it. You always need a couple of strikers in there. One of them needs to be an experienced striker rather than just having a young striker and throwing him in the deep end, you know? And that's what happens. Now, there's been a lot of noise about Rasmus Højlund, as usual, and Marcus Rashford. Now, what will I say again? It's again the same point, and it's again the same narrative that I'm going to sing from, the same hymn sheet that I'm going to sing from in regards to why do these players do well at other football clubs? Because they have a plan, because they have a system, because they have a culture, right? And this is exactly what I've been saying for a long, long time. I've said it. Everyone knows how much I backed Rasmus Højlund, right? The Premier League is hard. It's harder than the Champions League, in my opinion, right? And not many players can adapt to the Premier League. That's the way it is. Rashford, yeah, he's getting a little bit overhyped, but Rashford is doing well. And that's good for him because it's good for Man United. If they have potential of selling Marcus Rashford, there you go. It's good for him. He's getting assists and stuff like that. But you also have to understand, again, the jigsaw puzzle, right? He's fitting into that system, a system that every single player on that pitch is used to that system. Every single player knows what they're doing. You got Lamine, you got Rafinha, you got Lewandowski, you got Pedri, you got those players around you that are giving you more space and giving you more opportunities rather than having hero ball, Bruno, Ugarte, Casemiro is slow, Maguire, Shaw, Dalot, rather than that. Do you know what I mean? There's the difference right there. You know, and people won't bring this narrative into the chat because obviously it would defeat their narrative, you know? He also beat all the top teams in the Champions League. These players are useless. Yeah, he did. Unfortunately, Garrett, these people don't want to live on what the reality is. They don't want to live on what the factual things are. They just want to live on sensationalist, get him out of my football club, content creators, you know, to suck up to Talk Sport and Sky Sports and things like that, because that's what they do, you know. People of other entities, Flex, all these people who have a very, very low ball knowledge, by the way, low as low. Opinion's one thing, having a ball knowledge is another thing. Not calling out the Glazers, not even mentioning Duncan Edwards yesterday. I would urge people to talk about Duncan Edwards, by the way, and you would get to know who the real Man United fans are from the non-Man United fans. Those people who mentioned Duncan Edwards on his birthday. Not many people did. Unfortunately, some people call themselves Man United fans, haven't even mentioned the great Duncan Edwards I did yesterday. And what I would say, guys, is that these content creators, they're sucking up to Sky Sports, sucking up to Talk Sport, because it gives them it gives them an opportunity. It gives them opportunity. They only care about their opportunities for themselves. They don't care about context. They don't care about anything like that. They don't care about Man United. They don't really care. They care about themselves. You know? There is a bed pit of toxicity coming from various fan channels, not calling things in context, not bringing through every scenario. And when you counter their argument, they say that, you know what, you call you all names on the zone. What, I can't have an opinion now. No, we can't have an opinion. And when we disagree with your opinion, we can't have an opinion. And that is the difference. Do you know what I mean? There's so many of them out there, right, that don't call it as it is. They don't call the game as it is because they don't have the knowledge to do it. You know, I would love to sit around a round table, a real round table with them, right? And talk about Man United. You know, maybe there should be a question time with your knowledge about Man United. Maybe there should be that, because I guarantee you that it'll be embarrassing. You know, and these are the sort of people who are splurting garbage on the radio waves, on the internet, whatever it is. They're the ones who are splurting garbage, you know. Big up Earth fan, thanks for joining. I hope you're doing well. Lawrence, good morning. How you doing, brother? I hope you're doing well. Is opinion turning back in Ruben's favour now? Fear of shaking everything up once again. I think the club can start by moving on this player leadership group, picking the team. Yeah, look, I don't know who picked that leadership group, Lawrence, but looking at that leadership group, it's the loser group. It's not the leadership group. It's the loser group. It's the players that have failed the most at the football club. Let's get the players that have failed the most at the football club and let's put them together to create a leadership group. What are you leading? It's the blind leading the blind. That is exactly what it is at the end of the day, isn't it? And this leadership group is an absolute farce. What they need to do is create a new leadership group in regards to Cunha, Embremo, Mazruri, De Ligt. You know, that should be a leadership group, not those players who've been serially failing this football club for many, many years, guys. Not just this season, many years. And I don't understand where they get this logic from. Is it because they're good at cards? Is it because they're a good laugh, they're a good crap in the dressing room? I don't know. But why do they become leaders? What are they leaders of? What are they experienced at? They're not experienced at anything which involves this. You know? They're not experienced at anything. It's absolute farce, isn't it, Lawrence? Big up, Lawrence. Irfan, they want to elevate Rashford and Rasmus. Yes, they're supposed to flourish, stable environment, no pressure and toxicity like we display from time to time. They forgot how they slated Rasmus. They forgot that, didn't they, Irfan? They forgot that, yes, because you know why they forget that, Irfan? Let me tell you why they forget that, because it adds weight to their narrative. It adds weight to the Ruben out brigade. That's what it does. That's why they're like, oh, yeah, I told you about Rashford. I told you about Rashford. Rashford fouled for 2 years at Man United. He fouled at Aston Villa. He went to Aston Villa, didn't do much. I mean, I think you can get bloody Tony Cottee out of retirement to play in a system with Barcelona, and he'll probably score goals as well. It is a magnificent team, that Barcelona team. They've got players there that are world-class, world beaters, Ballon d'Or contenders and stuff like that. You know, it is a world-class team. Anyone coming through would do well in that team. It's just they want to big up them to a level when they're not that level, so they can say, I told you about Ruben Amorim. Look at Ruben Amorim. Look at him, blah-de-blah-de-blah. Forgetting Anthony, what's he done so far this season? What's Sancho done? What's Sancho done? What's Anthony done? Absolute jack. Nothing. You know, and that's what we're talking about here, isn't it? When Fellaini left, what did Fellaini do? You know, we can keep going on and on and on, because I've heard this excuse all the time that it's Man United the problem. And no doubt Man United are a problem, but they are a problem as well. If they can't fight for that badge, and fighting is the minimum. Rashford just walking around the football pitch. The only thing that Barcelona spell is doing for me is confirm that they are down tooling for Manchester United. And that is where culture comes into it. And that is where I have a problem with these players. And that is why these players are not good enough to play for Man United. You can have your player FC all you like, because he got a little assist. By the way, they lost yesterday, right? They can have all their assists they want. I don't give a damn. They didn't play for Man United. You know, big up, fam. Good morning, everyone. Big up, Sanjay. Hope you're doing well, guys. Irfan, under a new manager, players want to show how good they are. Yep, and knowing if they perform, they get a 5 games later, they go back to default setting. This is what happened with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Irfan. They broke records under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I know it was a COVID season, the stadiums were empty and all that, but they broke records when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was there. And as soon as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer put pen to paper on that deal, it's a bit like when they sign their contracts. Down tool. We got him. Down tool. It's a culture. Daryl, morning, bro. How you doing? Right. He needs to drop the players that ain't doing their job, bro. Absolutely, Daryl. Good to see you, my friend. Again, good to see you, brother. Changing the culture at football club. Do you need to buy players the coach wants to suit the system? Yes, you do. And this is the whole problem, isn't it? You know, that they didn't do that, did they, Saviour? Baz, Amorim concentrates more on making his formation work than studying opponents' weaknesses. No. Because he wouldn't play, if he thought that made the system work, why would he play Maguire and Shaw and Dalot in a high line? I don't understand that. He doesn't have the players for his system. It's as simple as that. And that is the biggest problem. It's nothing, we can't, it's no point overcomplicating what the actual problem is. We have a talent problem. We have an implementation problem. We have a team selection problem. And this is why he keeps picking the same team more or less every single game. More or less, he's picking the same team that is there more or less every day. Luke Shaw plays more or less every game. So you can't just say that it's this and that is it and that is what it is. It's not. It's a whole number of things. That is, you know what I mean? And one of them is the team selection. Another thing is talent. We need to start admitting that Maguire, Dalot, Shaw, maybe Bruno to an extent, just not good enough. And we have to hold our hands up. Sometimes you just have to hold your hands up and say, well, you know what? They're not good enough. Irfan, Amorim said that he wants to change the system from time to time, but he does want players to understand that the expectations are from an athlete, effort, attempt to try, passion, environment. Exactly, Irfan. And they're not, and this is one thing that they're not doing at the moment, isn't it? They're not giving it, or they're not giving the passion, they're not giving the fight. There's no fight there. You can piss at me and tell me it's raining, you know, but there's no fight there. There's no effort there, in my opinion. Max with inability, you know. Daryl, mate, Højlund is on fire at Napoli. It's definitely the curse of United, brother. Don't you think it's Don't you think there's a huge difference between having Kevin De Bruyne passing you a ball and Bruno Fernandes giving you a hoofball? That ball for and it's also culture as well at the football club. Napoli's a far better run club than Man United, on less a budget as well. When you have a player like De Bruyne, right, passing that ball through the eye of the needle to Rasmus Højlund, where did we ever see that at Man United? Look, I know who they played. By the way, let's not get this over the top. He's not absolutely smashing it in Italy. He's not going, wow, oh my goodness me. He's not doing McTominay levels. But what we have to understand is this, right? That ball from Kevin De Bruyne, 9 times out of 10, that's a hoofball from Bruno. You know, and he's not going to get that ball. And that's what we have to understand, you know. Morning, William. How you doing, brother? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you again, of course. Benny, I firmly believe Amorim needs to add a few serial winners to the backroom staff, also former players drilling what it needs to play for the great club. Alex Ferguson, Styles, Charlton. I spoke the other day, Benny, about the number 2. When you ask, you can go to 100 people right now and ask about the number 2 at Man United. No one would know who the number 2 is at Man United, right? Under Alex Ferguson always had a number 2 he can rely on, i.e. Brian Kidd, Steve McLaren, Carlos Queiroz, you know, Phelan. These were his number 2s, right? And he could rely on those players. But ultimately, some of them, apart from obviously Queiroz, were former Man United players. And he believed in them and he can rely on them, because sometimes you need that person in your ear to tell you what you need to do. You know, maybe that player's got that player's limping, that player's this. You need a number 2. Bruno Fernandes looks a lone figure on the touchline. He really does. He looks a lone figure on the touchline. And then I'm seeing a bunch of employees at the back of him just sitting there like this. Hey, Glingo. And they're toothpicks. You know? And I'm thinking, where's the number 2? Where's the number 2? What's going on here? Why do we not have a number 2? Because Alex Ferguson wasn't so egotistical, right? To not have a number 2 there. He always had a man that he can rely on. And I don't know why we don't have that. I don't know why. It is what it is. But I absolutely agree. We do need to bring in some people of experience who know the football club, but we've done that before, haven't we? We have, and it hasn't really worked out. Carrick was one of them, of course. We had Giggs, didn't we? We had Scholes in his backroom staff and stuff. It didn't really work at that time. Obviously, I'm not going to paint everything with the same brush, but it didn't really work at that time. But he does need a helping hand. He does need a capable number 2, in my opinion, in my humblest opinion. You know, absolutely. Guys, I really appreciate everyone, by the way. I really appreciate everyone who's in the stream. I really appreciate everyone who's come here today. Let me just read MB the Creators thing. One second. Sal, do you think maybe the reason they didn't back Amorim is because we can't see the full picture, i.e. Biff line beyond the wall? No, it's because they're stingy, mate, and that's exactly what it is. They didn't want to spend money. INEOS are not interested in success on the pitch. They're interested in a regeneration project. INEOS out, full sale only. Get the hell out of our football club. That's it. They don't have the finance to back him. That is it. They have it, but they don't want to spend it, and that's the reason. No overcomplicated fly on the wall things. They brought their guy in and they didn't back their guy. And that is the ultimate thing, isn't it, at the end of the day? You know? Ultimately, that is what the problem is. You know? Big up everyone, by the way. Big up Born Vets. Good to see you, mate. Hope you're doing well. Big up Dan, bro. Big up everyone. Big up everyone. Sorry I can't read through all your messages today. I will be back later on for Chatterbox, guys. Don't forget to support the channel, guys. Don't forget to become a member, super chats, all that. Support the channel, guys. Really appreciate everyone. I try and answer as many comments as I possibly can. I probably, every single day, I'll probably read a book when I'm reading out the comments. You know, I'll probably read more in this hour than I do than I do the rest of the day. You know what I mean? And I do. And guys, I have read these books, by the way. But yeah, guys, I want to thank everyone. Look, at the end of the day, what I would argue is that I want people to look at things in a intelligent perspective, right? I don't want people being so extreme in their opinions. I'm not gonna dictate them. I'm not the opinion police. But what I would say is that I would like people to be more contextual in regards to what is going on at this football club. I think it's very important that we look at things in context. I think it is, because there are a number of things going on at this football club. A number of things. And there's so many different opinions out there. There's so much toxicity going on out there. There's people with massive platforms going in on one because it gets them likes and clicks, right? We all know who they are and we shouldn't support them. There's Liverpool fans acting like Man United fans because it gets them more clicks. There's this, and it's just non-stop, isn't it? And there's so much ins and outs of what is going on at this football club that we can't just narrow this whole thing down to one thing. We really have to look at the context. And when people can pose an argument and give both sides to the argument, I've forgotten who said it today. I think it was Terry Flores. Big up Terry, by the way. He said it's a bit like a party in a government, two parties. Now, two parties might agree with one thing, but they have different views on other things. And I think that is what it is. You have to look at things like that. Not everything is absolute. Not everything is like, we agree on this. I want this, and I don't care what you believe in. I don't care. That just go away. I just want this, and that is me. You have to have a balance to your argument. You have to bring up facts. You have to bring up context. You have to bring up scenarios. You have to bring up why things are happening at the end of the day. Otherwise, you don't learn. And if we're not gonna learn this, we're not going to progress as a football club. We're not going to progress as a football club. And this is what I would say. If we're looking at things so one-dimensional, we're not going to get to the level that we want to get. Do you know what I mean? And we need to start looking at things in more balanced ways. It's like when people, the system mongers, I call them, they come on here, 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3, play this system, it's going to work. And then, they just argue their point they won't change their point. And when I mention about, what did Eric Ten Hag have? What did he had a 4-3-3? What did Ole Gunnar Solskjaer have? He had a 4-3-3. What did what did Jose Mourinho have? He had a 4-3-3. What did Ralph Rangnick had? He had a 4-3-3, more or less. Do you know what I mean? And then when you argue about that, they go, but we got to more finals and cups. So did Wigan. Everyone can win cups. That's not what we're talking about here. You have to try your best to change a culture at the football club. And to change the culture at the football club, you're going to have to make sacrifices. And that is just the way it is, Now, I'm not sitting here defending Ruben Amorim. He needs to get results, and that starts Saturday. It has to be a win, nothing else. Otherwise, he just needs to walk, I think. And that is where I will leave it, guys. I really appreciate you all. Thank you. You're absolute legends. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Smash a like on the video. Put your notifications on in case I go live and anything happens at any time. You never know what happens with this football club. I'm Sal Warner, believe it or not. And this is Breaking Dawn. And I will see you for Chatterboxer later. If nothing else, breaks, guys. Take it easy. Peace.